In the name of God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Please be seated. As you can see, I am not Father Ian. My name is Father Lee Walker. I'm a retired priest here in the diocese, and I will be filling in this morning for Father Ian while he is away with your vestry retreat. I want to say just something I hadn't planned on saying in the sermon as introduction. I've been to St. Thomas many times before, but it has been some time since I've been here, and it's been some time since I have done the liturgy as you do it here at St. Thomas, which is glorious and fabulous, and I just absolutely love coming here. And these good people here who were serving with me this morning were giving me all the instructions and telling me everything to do, one of which was when we first come out here, we sit at the prie-dieu, the kneeling desk where I went to. It is my custom, as my personal custom, to always kiss the altar before the Mass begins. So we came up and I went up to kiss the altar, and I could hear them behind me going, "Father, Father, this way, like that, to come out here." And I thought, well, they don't realize I'm just going up to kiss the altar. So I went up there and kissed the altar, and I came back and I stood there and I looked around and I went, the Mass hasn't even started and I can't find the prie-dieu. There is no prie-dieu up here. And then realized it was out here. So stick close by me this morning, okay? And I'm sure I will make it through. This is the last Sunday before Lent begins. Ash Wednesday will be this Wednesday, the last Sunday of the Epiphany. And you may have noticed, it sort of seems a little strange, but the readings that are used today, the first reading and the Gospel, are the same ones that come to us on the feast day of the Transfiguration. And we are told the story this morning in the Gospel of the Transfiguration. And I want to focus in for just a moment this morning on why it is the Church would give us those readings. The story of the Transfiguration is normally read on its feast day, August the 6th. Well after Easter, well towards the end of our salvation story as it is laid out for us in the liturgical year of the Church. Why before Lent? Why would they speak of something like this? Let me share with you something about the Transfiguration that just fascinated me back when I was in seminary. I'd been involved in the church since I was a little kid, pretty serious about it as much as a little kid could be. I was familiar with the Transfiguration story, but all my life I had sort of looked at it as like, boy, that's one of those sort of Hollywood spectacular kind of miracles. That's the one that if you make a film about it, you got to use Spielberg and special effects. But somehow I had never dug deep enough into the meaning of this to really understand what's going on here. Besides, I'm sure, a magnificent thing for those three apostles to see. What's really the message in the Transfiguration if you take the time to dig deeper? And the Orthodox, looking at this, the Eastern Orthodox, Romanian, Greek, Russian, they come up with such a beautiful statement. They say, Jesus the Christ is God come among us. God is immutable and unchangeable. God does not change. God is and was and ever will be as God has always been and ever will be. So how is it that suddenly he looked different to them? The Orthodox say, yes, he was transfigured in the sense that they saw him in the glory that was really the divine presence. But for the Orthodox, what they say is the change of which we speak at the Transfiguration is not so much about the face of Jesus. The change is in the eyes of us who behold him. They say that at the Transfiguration, the face of Christ is transfigured, but the Orthodox say only because our ability to see has been transformed by his presence. So what does that mean to us the Sunday before Lent? Let me give you just a very simple example of when you can dig deeper into something spiritually without even knowing that that's what you're doing, and you can be transformed in how you see the world, others, and yourself. When I was about maybe 10 or 11 years old, I can't remember exactly, we had recently moved to Dallas from Baytown, Texas. We're living in one of those apartment buildings where it's 2 down, 2 up with a stairway going up. And I was sort of lonely. I missed all my friends. And then I heard the family moving in across the hallway had a son just a little bit younger than I was, a few years younger. And I thought, oh boy, a new playmate, a new friend right here next door. Well, the day that they moved in, they left their door open. They're carrying boxes, furniture, and all of this in. And I kept finding excuses to walk out so I could look in and see what the new neighbors were like. And I saw the young boy, who was a member of their family, sitting on the living room floor. He was in front of the couch, and in front of him was the coffee table. And on the coffee table, there was not another thing in the house arranged. But on the coffee table were his toys, his books, some cake, a big glass of milk, everything to make a little boy happy. And as the furniture and the boxes are being carried in and out, every few minutes I can hear this young boy going, "Hey, Mom, I'm out of milk. Bring me some more milk. Hey, Mom, I need some more cake. Hey, Mom, where's that comic book I asked you for?" Well, I thought, this new little playmate that I've been dreaming about sounds like a really self-centered, lazy little guy. So finally I decided I would just stop and introduce myself and find out what's going on here. So I waved from the doorway, told him who I was. He waved back, said his name was Selig. And I said, "Selig, how come you're not helping out today? What kind of lazy guy are you, letting your family and your grandmother, the old grandmother, do all the work?" And he smiled at me and he said, "I'm this kind of guy." And he put his arms back behind him on the edge of the couch and pushed himself up, leaning backwards over the couch so that I could see that he had no legs. They had been amputated just a few months earlier. He was to die of cancer within about a year. Suddenly, I saw Selig, that squealing, selfish little boy that I had heard all morning making his parents do all the work. And my vision was transformed. And I saw him differently. And I saw myself differently. How quick to rush to judgment. How quick I was to condemn. How quick I was to like to be the man who sat in the temple saying, "I'm glad I'm so much better than that low Pharisee." The Pharisee who said that about the poor man. Years later, when I was an adult, I became a priest. People would come into my office asking me for help and counsel. People would come in sometimes twice my age asking me to help them. And sometimes they came in and they had mental problems. Sometimes they were addicts, drunks, all sorts of brokenness. And I would sit there and I would say to myself, how fortunate that they have come to someone like me, because I'm such a good person. And boy, they're so broken, and boy, do they need my help. And then one day, I was in an emergency room in a hospital. And they called my family in Texas and said, "Please come, he's very ill. He is a chronic alcoholic and he is at the end of his rope." And my brother said, "I'll jump on a plane immediately." And the doctors said, "Well, that won't make much difference. He'll be dead within a couple of hours." Well, I didn't die. I lived. I made it back. That was 10 years ago. My 10th anniversary of sobriety is this month. But let me tell you something. I was transformed, and all those people I had thought that I was better and stronger than, they were transfigured in my sight. The Christ in them was transfigured in my sight. And when I looked in the mirror every morning after that, I saw differently with transformed eyes. People, Lent comes. You'll do like I do every year. You'll figure out some things to give up, some things to take on. But you know, we go through that cycle year after year. The earliest Christians did not do it that way. They came and gathered like a circle around their new members who were studying, like those who were being trained on Saturday here for confirmation and reaffirmation, and they prayed with them, and they said, let us bring you into our community. Let you be transformed by the light of Christ. Dig deeper into your lives and discover who and what God calls you to be. Look at people with transformed eyes, not only that see the light in this world, but that see the light of Christ with the heart. Take on things that you will keep. Think, what Olympic athlete training for a competition, after that competition is over and they have won, they'll relax, they'll let down the training a little. But the athlete that won the marathon and the race, after it's over, do they suddenly say, well, I guess I'll just go back to nothing but Twinkies and beer now. That'll be my diet. I'll see if I can get myself up to 300 pounds, but next Lent I'll get in shape again. No, they say, look at me. I've learned to exercise. I will keep exercising. I have learned to give up the things that hurt my body. I will continue to give them up. This Lent, don't overdo it. Pick one good thing to add to your life and one bad thing to take out of your life, and work and pray together with your brothers and sisters during Lent and transform yourself and stay that way all your life. Because we forget, we look at Lent and think, oh, this is a little short time during 1 year when we have to be extra good. Life is that short time before heaven when God calls us to the goodness we can be. So, lest I run too long, I ask you this Lent. Dig deeper. Look at the things around you, the people, the events, the things in your life. Ask God not just to change the people that you don't like or that irritate you, but to change your way of seeing them, to give you the ability to say, much as they may drive me up the walls, Christ died for them too. How can I see the Christ in them so that the Christ in me can unite with the Christ in them and we may be one? People, have a very blessed Lent. Dig deep. Pray that you be transformed so that you can see a world transfigured. And as far as being understanding and compassionate to others, begin with me this morning. I'll get through the Mass as best I can, talk with you afterwards, and thank you for letting me share with you this morning. God bless.